Hello, Florida. This is Joe Mullins of the Live Workshop Play Show, and welcome to the show. Welcome to this beautiful weekend. It has been a long week. It has been a very interesting week. We have seen a lot of great things happen in the country. We've seen a lot of always wonderful things happen in the state of Florida. Florida's been in the news many, many times this week and led the nation in many different areas. But one of the things that occurred this week that made the world news is we buried a legend, buried an amazing man. And, you know, looking back at the career that Hulk Hogan had and the impact he had on the state of Florida and Clearwater and on the world, the country and the world was just amazing. And to see and so many great people come together for a funeral and to pay the respects to a legend, to America's hero. I mean, what a great guy! You look back in what he's done and how much the childhood that we had because of this man, and the adulthood. It's been unbelievable. And behind the scenes with every great guy like that is a strong team that works together and visionaries and people that do it. We got to see Vince McMahon, who certainly comes up with a lot of the great ideas at the funeral. We got to see Triple H, who's now taken the wrestling into a whole new avenue. We got to see a lot of athletes, a lot of entertainers, a lot of fans, a lot of people, a lot of family people that just show up. But one very special person that came in who's near and dear to me is a man that was a mentor for me early on. He's been on the show before, and I want to welcome to Henry Holmes. Henry, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, a lot of the listeners, tell you a little story. Henry's a sports and entertainment lawyer. He's been working in the industry for many years. And Henry, you brought in also a special guest with you. Do you want to introduce that special guest?
This is my son, Benjamin Kainoa Holmes, and he's also he's the godson of was the godson of Terry Bollea, Hulk Hogan, and George Foreman, and he knows a lot about the development and. He doesn't listen to his dad anymore, but he has his own point of view.
Mhm. Well, you'll get more influence with people like that, and I'm sure Ben, having your dad say it versus Hulk Hogan. I mean, first of all, you got a guy this monster in stature, although you're not little, but you get a guy like that that says something, and you kind of go, well, I'm going to do what Hulk says. I want to be cool like him, and it's probably your dad telling him, hey, tell him this for me. And we do use that technique many times on our sons, but I would love to get into hearing kind of what it's like growing up around all that and seeing it. And I think you probably agree. If you were his godson, you'll always be that to him, whether he's here or not. That special time you had with him. So we love hearing about that. But Henry, the background to it, Henry and I met, oh God, many years ago at UCLA. Henry was teaching sports and entertainment. Or sports as an entertainment, and it was part of the classes we were taking to become a sports agent. And I got to be in the class, and Henry didn't let me talk a lot. I sat quietly in the corner, took my notes, and listened. And okay, I may have a different version than you.
Listen, Joe asked so many questions at the end. Of the class, I'd say, does anybody have any questions other than Joe Mullins?
But I needed to learn, and I wanted to learn. So if you don't ask questions, you don't know. But we got to see a lot of amazing things. I remember you bringing in George Foreman, and I was just sitting in there and all going, oh my God, this big George that's on the TV, and the legend, the hero, the guy that, had a career. And I thought, oh my God, that's that guy that eats all those hamburgers too. Amazing watching that man eat hamburgers, the appetite he had. But hearing about the grill and hearing about the stories, and then you mentioned about working with a lot of great people, it just really led for an exciting beginning of an amazing career that I had, and I attribute to you fully. But let's talk a little bit about the career and working with some of these guys, and let's talk a little bit about, especially on the second part of it. Let's talk about the funeral and coming in here and seeing someone.
Well, I was with Terry Hulk Hogan from the beginning, and to see, I felt so empty during the weekend, and I know most of the wrestlers. I know Vince because to to see the casket, he has meeting far beyond people really understanding. And everybody goes, God, you helped create his career. No, he helped create my career. And he single handedly, going back, created merchandising for the world. Because if you remember, and if everybody had venue, you could buy, you could go to a fight and you could buy, a Mike Tyson doll, but nobody generally marketed, went on the internet. And Vince McMahon, to his credit, I hate to talk well about Vince McMahon because we had so many clashes, but they would have merchandise out in the audience, and that caught on. And Terry went out and marketed, the little dolls and all
And
that
pushed
stuff.
him. Yeah, he would wear them, bring them in the shirt, that
Right.
bandana, the crazy things. But a lot of that, it's working with a lot of talent. You've seen a lot of talent, and
Right.
I've seen you work with a lot of talent. What do you think made you see it in him way before he even probably did, that he would had that gift?
Well, he had a great instinct for being part of the community, really. And he would talk to the kids, and his whole and I could see people were just lighting up. I went to WrestleMania. I had never been to WrestleMania. I've been to Super Bowls, and I've had NFL athletes. And when he walked in and won the match, the place went crazy, and I could see that could translate, and it has.
Henry, I see a lot of the old videos and the matches, and you see you sitting out in the right at the ringside, sitting with him, and it's always exciting to see it. I remember WCW, and after we had met, and they brought your name up countlessly, and I, oh my God, that's my Henry. Oh, I love it. It's great to experience that with them, but you also experience lows, and you warned me of that early on. You said you're going to see a roller coaster. Um, how do you feel with some of the people that want to remember him by some of the lows that he impacted? I mean, nobody's perfect on this earth. We had one guy perfect, and look what we did to him. We crucified him. But what is your comment to people like that, or people that are hearing it that get confused?
Well, it's hard to define greatness, and you have to understand that he's working in an industry. The key to wrestling was clear good versus bad. But you know, as you progress, it's hard to keep current about what the good is and what the bad is. And yeah, of course he had lows. I think everybody that has feelings at some point has lows. Um, and yeah, but you can't measure him by the lows. And if you were there yesterday to see that coffin, to see all of the athletes that were there, and you feel what he created. And he was a good friend. Listen, I had lows too. He advised me on marriages, and he loved Ben. He was always calling to see how Ben was. But he was a caring guy that tried to keep going at the good, and that's really, really difficult.
It it is, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. I remind people and probably say this, um, working with Junior Seau and seeing some of the greatest things he did, there were a lot of people that I think were very envious and jealous that he was able to do what he did and carry the career as long as he did. And they would highlight the negatives. And I remember my brother telling me one time and really waking me up when I started getting attacked when I got into politics and stuff. We haven't done, you hadn't done anything that we hadn't done. Don't feel bad. You just have a target on you. You got a target on your back, a beacon on you, because people are upset about you driving a Ferrari or being in an industry where it's glamorous or being around all these big names. And when you look at someone like Hulk Hogan, you had people that, in a way, they had to make him a bad person in their mind because it kept them from being, well, if I do everything good that he's doing, then, I'm going to be bad. And this is why. And he's bad. It's almost in a way where you have to look at something and you're so ashamed that you didn't achieve that or aren't doing it, going out and trying to help people. You got to make that person look bad to make yourself feel better. And I think that's what happens a lot of time in those situations, because you had a celebrity, a guy that was bigger than life for most of his life, if not all of it, that would turn around and stop and sign things for kids. Those are the stories we heard at the funeral. He'd stop. He'd recognize a child. You saw him. Was this the man you knew? Or was it a man that walked around going, I'm bigger than life? And
That was the man. And Ben, you can talk about, he came to Ben's birthday party, 6 or 7.
Yeah, 6 or 7 years old.
now, Ben, that would be pretty
Elementary
cool
school.
at 7 years old to have Hulk Hogan show up at your birthday
Yeah, I
party.
So
didn't know
Hulk
he was coming.
goes in, and it was Hogan Knows Best. They had all the cameras, and Hulk turned and said, "Look, no cameras. This event is for Ben. It's Ben's birthday, and it's not about me." Of course, little Ben said, "Oh, I like the cameras," but
Yeah.
so he was that kind of a guy. And one time, there was a guy who, a young boy who had missed. An event. What is it? Wish it days. It's where you get your wish.
Make a Wish.
Make
Make
a
a Wish
Wish.
Foundation. Yeah.
And they told him the wrong date, and he missed it. So I called Terry and I said, could you give this guy a call? And I get a call, and he's flew out to the
Wow.
Midwest, and he's in the house.
Oh my
with-
God, you're
with the
kidding.
boy.
He flew out. Those are the stories that you think about. We all go through challenges. We all go through things. And I think at the funeral, um, you know, just been when you saw it and growing up and having a man like that around you, how'd you feel yesterday at the funeral?
I mean,
What
it
did
was sad for sure, but I remember the happy times with them. I take honor in being able to take advice from them and learn from them, and being able to reach out to them and talk to them just about everyday stuff. And same with George. And yeah, I mean, it was definitely something, like being able to talk to the most recognizable guy in the world. So
Yeah, it's bigger than statue. I know when I got there yesterday, I couldn't believe. I just couldn't believe it really was happening. I think it really hit me that it didn't hit me that he was gone until we saw that, and um, it, it's about everybody that was there. You see some people. I mean, Dennis Rodman was there. Dennis Rodman, Wild Man Rodman goes to Korea with no fear. Yet you see him break down and cry and upset that he lost someone like Hulk Hogan. And I'm thinking, man. And then Kid Rock being there. We saw the people coming in, and I think the most shocking person I saw come in was Vince McMahon.
yeah.
They had a lot of ups and downs, but
Mhm.
Vince admitted wrestling wouldn't be what it is without Hulk Hogan. I remember being, Ben, it's crazy. I was 14 years old, and I was getting ready to go to school, and it was 5 o'clock in the morning, and I cut on the TV. I don't know what made me cut on the TV, but it was wrestling. And it wasn't the WCW that we saw, or Georgia Championship Wrestling that we grew up with Tommy Wildfire Rich and Ric Flair going at it. It was a WWE at the time, or WWF.
Mhm.
And I went, what is all this about? And all of a sudden I saw this monster come out, and he came out holding a flag and waving it in the air. And I'm a little boy sitting there going, oh my God, America, America, who's this guy?
Mhm.
And he's got this massive mustache, bigger than life, 24-inch biceps. And he goes out and takes his sheet, this mean iron sheet, and he slams him to the mat and pins him, and the crowd goes crazy. And then I had to go to school. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm walking around school going, oh yeah, brother. Oh yeah, brother. Just going around carrying myself, trying to flex my little arms. I was tiny. I was a little guy, flexing my arms, walking around going, yeah, I can fight anybody. Ready to go pick up the biggest athlete there and body slam him like he did Andre the Giant. Part of that childhood passed away, was buried this week. And that's what it felt like.
Yeah, it felt that way for me. And who was the little boy that is in the commercials?
Yeah, Roe, the little boy that was there.
Right.
We met Roe, the little guy that comes in his shop and calls Hulk Hogan out. Great kid.
Well, Ben was the Roe when he was really little. Then, of course, he spam Musubi's and he got really, really big. But understanding athletes, especially during that era, you have to understand that it wasn't as developed. You didn't have social media, so there was always these efforts, to grow with the reputation, but there was always people who were looking, to tear you down. And I just remember one thing. Yes, I almost cried. Or, I'm on an airplane with George Foreman. He's now the new heavyweight champion, second, and with Terry Hulk Hogan. And
how did that plane get off the ground? God.
So it was funny. We were going through our stuff, and I did well financially in my life, but I always took the little things from the hotel, the little Q-tips and all of that. So I said, "Hey, sorry guys." So Terry took the Q-tips and everything from the hotel, and George Foreman, and that was that era. Now they're
oh my God, that's so funny. You see that and you see the era and you go, it's part of what my mom did. You just did it. That era, and it's hard seeing it go. I don't think at that age I ever fathomed that we'd lose someone like him. I thought you just think he'll be around forever.
Immortal.
And it hurt a little bit. Let's get into a little bit more when we get back. We're going to take this commercial break, or we're going to take this break from the show right now. And we're going to get in a little deeper and talk about the great and amazing life of Terry Bollea that most of the world knows as Hulk Hogan. We'll be right back. And I want to welcome you back to the show. We have a very, 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 as we left for the break, we're talking about the amazing life and career of Terry Bollea, Hulk Hogan, and just not ever imagining him not being here. We're here in Tampa. We were in Clearwater. Henry was his manager and still is. He'll be his manager forever. You can't undo those things. And we've got Ben
manager,
here,
lawyer,
manager,
and close friend.
That's the one thing that I'll say to you as an agent. And you didn't really warn me about this. Most people have clients and they come and go. When you work with these guys and you're in their lives like that, they become family to you, and their highs become your highs. You feel like you're there. And then when their lows hit, you feel like that. And it's nice to be able to help them out of it. But when they get so extreme and you know that some of this stuff's self-inflicted, some of it's could have been prevented, some of it is stuff you want to protect them from, and you just got to understand it. How did those moments, what are some of the moments that really hit you hard with some of your bigger clients like George Foreman or Terry Bollea, Hulk Hogan?
The problems that happened when they were big problems. And you're dealing obviously with the media and you feel for them because you understand what they're trying to do and what they're doing. And look at George. George became a minister, but George had issues with people and everything from pirating commercials and all that. So you got to be really clever and really spend a lot of time, with your clients. I mean, the whole hamburger thing with George Foreman came from he and I. Of course, then the grill happened, but we always talked about the personal stuff. And everybody said, well, they're human. Well, humans have issues.
Yeah.
I have a cousin who's been divorced 3 times. Is she a bad person? I don't know, but she's been divorced 3 times.
But yet, when a celebrity gets divorced three
Divorced.
times, it becomes the media. They're bad.
Mm.
Of course, you got a very emotional spouse, male or female, that want to say things that they probably are going to regret. But it's crazy, and I see some of the news that's going on now. You know, Hulk Hogan. It doesn't seem like it goes in. They're talking about how he was very selfish to his family. I've heard crazy things, but then all of a sudden we talk about a guy flying across country for a make a wish or spending that extra time with Ben that's doing that, and I didn't see that. I see no different problems that he has. Now I got a son. My son, I got two sons. My son, one son, 10-year-old, he's perfect. He doesn't do anything wrong. He will, is coming. But my 15-year-old, who was 10 years old at one time and perfect, started to hurt my feelings a little bit. Didn't spend Father's Day with me. I told him, I said, man, you don't know what you got here. My dad died when I was 2. I would have loved to have spent a Father's Day with my dad, and I wouldn't have ever missed one. And but that stuff doesn't get highlighted because we're more lower level, not lower level, under the radar of the media. But if Hulk Hogan's son did it, or if Hulk Hogan's daughter did it, it becomes world news. And of course, there are people going, well, he's just so into himself and so into that. What is your thoughts on advising and talking about that? And what would you tell the world about Hulk Hogan as the man?
I would say that everybody talks about trust fund kids. They talk about how you raise your kids. He Terry wasn't selfish with his family. He was trying to raise his kids in the right way. And at a certain point in time, he would do everything for Nikki, but that wasn't good for Nikki. The same way, my son Ben, born into this, and uh, there have been times when you got to get a job, and that was a lot with Terry. And as you you know you get older and you get more famous, and you're trying to keep your. So was he selfish with his family? Yeah, probably at the right time. So I mean, I would say, ask those people, what do you expect them to do? Give each of the kids $10 million, and
Well, and you think about with Nick's a great young kid, great guy. I always see him as a little son, that little cute kid on Hogan Knows Best, and then Brooke as well. But you also, that's one thing I tell my kids, I won't be around forever. And I need to know that you're going to survive without me. If I don't help teach you this and I die tomorrow, I've done you the worst. I've been the worst parent to you that you could have ever had. I've got to teach you to stand alone. And Ben, you come from a very successful, very ambitious father. Can you imagine? I mean, a lot of kids probably looked at you and said, "Oh, your dad's just he's rich. He does this. He lives in Malibu. You do this." But but he's taught you a trade.
Yeah.
He's taught you to go out and do a business. He's taught you to
Mhm.
go out. He's helped you.
Yeah.
But he's giving you something that'll last a lifetime
Yeah.
versus giving him an inheritance. I mean, that's
Mhm.
everybody goes, oh, Joe's kids are going to inherit all this, or Joe inherited all this. They don't realize I didn't know what I had until I was 20 years old, actually 25, and I didn't have a dad. I would have given every penny I got in my lifetime to have a dad, to have a role model, to have somebody that I could even be mad at. I didn't even, all I knew is it was not there. I didn't know what his voice was like. I didn't know what his demeanor's like, but you've had that, and you were in that realm watching him. My dad, I heard the memories of him, how great he was, but you've got to see it. What was that like being a kid growing up in that, and other kids, how did they treat you?
I mean, I grew up in Malibu, so it was a little different. There was a lot of celebrities at my school,
Yeah.
but I mean, I did go to school in Bellflower, California,
St.
and
John
to St.
Bosco.
John Bosco, and played football there. So I mean, it was different, you know, having a dad that was a sports and entertainment lawyer that knew all these
Well, come on, you
celebrities.
had Hulk Hogan show up at your birthday
Yeah,
party. I didn't have
exactly.
that. Henry, did you get
So
that? Did he? He
Yeah.
probably did show up at yours.
No, he
That's
knew
not fair.
about the birthday, and he said, "God, what can I do for Ben?" I
But that
said,
was
"Give him a
him.
call."
That was him. Just so stop everything and give back and do that. That's the kind of friend that you search
yeah.
lifetimes to find.
But I think something also my dad taught me was, treat everyone with respect, treat everyone the same, and there's nothing different between you and someone that's less fortunate. So I mean, I was just the same as anyone else. I mean, I just had, a couple people I could reach out to that, were celebrities.
Guys, we're going to have to wrap up here, but I want to continue this, and I want to ask you, Henry, I know your schedule's tight. I know you got a lot going on, but I'd love you to come back on the station and let's continue this as a part two,
Okay.
if you would. So I would love to have you come on.
If you
Guys,
say nice things about
I'll say nice things about you. I promise I'm getting to them. I just got to think of them first, but I'm promising I'm getting to them. Guys, I want to thank you for joining us this weekend. Have a great weekend. And, just such a special man, Hulk Hogan, and what he did for our community, what he did for our nation, what he did for our state of Florida, and so many
And just
people around the
remember.
world. Remember the chime. And the pose. But we'll be back next week to continue this conversation and look forward to having you. Have a great weekend, and remember, live, work, shop, play in Florida, and take your vitamins.